Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
He picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is the OG Hour on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best, joined by Dr. John Best, the old chief. A little bit of a special edition of the OG Hour. Patrick Allen, one of our resident Renaissance men, is starring in a play tonight. He is starring in The Crucible. Very excited for him. He is a exceptionally talented person and actor. So it's just going to be me and my old man today. Dad, you are the reason why I'm a Chiefs fan. Well, that and being born in Kansas City. So it's always good to chop it up with you. How are you feeling? Just a wellness check with the Chiefs being 0-2.
I'm not feeling very well. I am concerned that the pages have turned and we've got a bunch of overpaid old players, kind of like the Chiefs back after they won the Super Bowl. Hank Stram hung on to the old Chiefs, and they saw what happened. It took them on a steady decline through the 70s that really were never corrected until the mid-80s. And I'm concerned that not only Kelce is past his prime, but I think we've overpaid for some players. We'll get into it, but Trey Smith needs to engage the D tackles. His D tackle that he's blocking against the Chargers blocked 4 passes. And last week, so did Carter. Now, admittedly, they're going against top-flight defensive linemen, but to pay Trey Smith top offensive guard money, he certainly is not producing.
We'll get into
and I'd say that right. I'd say that right to him. In fact, I think the offensive lineman that has produced the most from where he came into the season is Justin Simmons. I think he's looked pretty good.
Josh.
I'm Josh Simmons. Yeah, I'm a Josh.
But yeah. You tell Trey Smith to his face that he's not playing well. You might be drinking Ensure for your meals for the next 3 months. You know, I'm not telling that. I'm not. No, he is.
No, he's a very nice person. I've met him. He's not that way, but I think he would admit that he's struggling.
I think we have bigger problems on the roster, many bigger problems. We will get into that. But first,
here's what I'd like to point out. I wish we had the cheetah back. And the reason why I wish we had the cheetah back, he would bring us some speed because, you know, he was pretty durable during the time we had him. Of course, he got hurt in that one Jacksonville game, but he was electrifying, and we really have had struggling getting an offense since he left. We've won 2 Super Bowls, but the offense has not been dynamic.
Well, we can get in. I have some thoughts on that when we get into grading Patrick Mahomes. But first, we have a little bit of business to take care of, and that's Underdog. I'm a big fan of Underdog. My favorite thing on Underdog is best ball, of course. That's already in process. My teams are doing okay, not as well as I'd hoped. I have quite a few Harold Fannin shares. I'm excited about that. But yeah, football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Miami at Buffalo. The aforementioned Tyreek Hill, I think they're cooked in Miami. And I actually don't think it's Mike McDaniel's fault. I think it is ownership, front office, but they probably will be having a bit of a fire sale. Tyreek Hill might be included. Is he Antonio Browning? Is he not Antonio Browning? We will get to that. But my picks, I think this is going to be a blowout. I'm picking James Cook for higher than 69.5 rushing yards. And then on the other side, because of game script, the Dolphins are going to be behind. So I'm picking Devon Achane for higher than 39.5 receiving yards. I think that is an absolute smash. So that is the way I'm going to be going. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right, Dad.
Adam, I got to tell you this about Miami. Remember a couple years ago, their owner was accused of tanking and got into it with their head coach, and I think they lost a first-round draft pick. I wonder if they could tank again this year. As someone who's tanked in fantasy football once, it's really not that hard. You just unload all the players.
Once you are the Cleveland Browns of fantasy football. You've had some high points, but of course you're talking about Brian Flores, and this is a good segue because you mentioned Tyreek Hill being gone, the offense not being quite the same. I would also add that it wasn't just him; it was Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, because ever since that trio left, it's been a revolving door at receiver and tackle for Patrick Mahomes. That is an unsustainable situation for basically any other quarterback in the National Football League. No other quarterback could have a different wide receiver one every season and a different left tackle every season and make 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So to recalibrate where the Chiefs are at after 2 weeks, we're going to do player group grades. And each positional group will be graded between an A+ and an F. Let's just jump in with Patrick Mahomes. We're already talking about him. I know he's not perfect. I know the deep ball chemistry has left a little bit to be desired. I'd say that he is playing with a new left tackle. He is playing with no running game, and the relationship with Tyquan Thornton is new. And even the relationship with Hollywood Brown, they don't have a ton of snaps together. I think he's done everything he can. As a scrambler, he has never been better. This looks like playoff Patrick Mahomes. I can't give him any lower than a B+. I mean, when Xavier Worthy went out in week 1 on the 3rd play, I just think that unraveled the Chiefs' contingency plan for how their offensive ecosystem would operate until Rashee Rice gets back. I think Rashee Rice will be the engine, but in the interim, I think Xavier Worthy was going to be the focal point. Dad, how do you grade Patrick Mahomes through 2 weeks?
I think he's reverted back to Texas Tech, Patrick, and that is trying to do everything himself. I really, as a physician, am concerned about him running. It really exposes him to one crazy guy on defense taking a cheap shot. And if you want to talk about a bad team, a bad offense, look at the Chiefs with Gardner Minshew as our quarterback.
Yeah, that would be the worst offense in the NFL.
I think Patrick is trying to do too much. Tyquan Thornton was wide open, and he overthrew him by maybe 15 yards. That is the worst pass.
He immediately rectified that, though. Immediately.
Well, not immediately. He came back and threw a pass on the sideline.
Like 2 plays later. I mean, that's pretty immediate.
What happens if Worthy can't play? He gets hurt again, which is a possibility. And Rashee Rice is slow coming back? And will the fans and the Chiefs tolerate it to the 15th game before Rashid Rice gets his sea legs?
Yeah, he has his sea legs. I like anyone who saw the preseason. He looks to have his burst. I wouldn't be concerned about that. Now, if you want to be, you are the medical professional. If you are concerned with re-injury, I totally understand that. But to me, Rashid Rice looks like the same old Rashid Rice. So I am the.
We're talking about Patrick, though.
We are.
Honestly,
So what's your grade? What's your grade?
Give him A+ for effort and B+ for recklessness.
He really has no other choice. I think
he does. He needs to hang in the pocket.
No, but he can't. If you look at the all-22 and pull back, and during the, I know you're there at the stadium, and you should see this as well. Nobody is separating. I think his receivers are doing the worst job of separating of any group in the NFL. I watched the entire NFL, got my eyes on everything. This group cannot get open. This group, and we'll get to that.
I think everybody's seen Andy's script. I think Patrick needs to get under center and have some running plays. The RPOs, if you look at most of the teams now, and you look at the very successful offenses, they have some kind of a running attack, and the quarterbacks are getting under center again. I think it's a problem. I think and I wouldn't be surprised Andy doesn't change things in the next 1 or 2 games.
Well,
let's go on. Besides Patrick, he's the least.
I know. We are transitioning here. I think the issue with Andy Reid, he's still a brilliant offensive coach. He's still a great CEO. I do question his clock management at times. That first half late timeout he called against the Eagles was sort of bizarre, right? But what I really wish to see for the Chiefs, I made the point on Twitter this week, if Mike McDaniel gets fired, they should bring him in as their running game coordinator, because I have thought for a long time, it's Andy Reid's offense. Matt Nagy doesn't call the plays. Andy Reid does. And if I have one issue with Matt Nagy, I just think this is kind of an incestuous, closed loop coaching staff, and they need some new blood. They need more of a team of rivals, as Abe Lincoln would say. And if you look at what Mike McDaniel did in San Francisco as the running game coordinator, he had guys like Alfred Morris, Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and Tevin Coleman. And they were an explosive running game with that cast of characters. I think someone like that could come in and get this going. But let's move on to the running back room. And go ahead.
I think if you're going to change coaches, the first place that ought to start is the offensive line coach.
And
you put that kind of money in our center, our guard, our right tackle Taylor, who is, I think he's very suitable. He's barely suitable. And you got, we can get on to it, but the running backs, let's go with the running backs. Pacheco is like a horse with blinders. He goes too quickly in the holes. He doesn't have patience like Marcus Allen, some of the great backs. For example, the guy that was in Pittsburgh several years ago, he would stutter. Le'Veon Bell would wait a second or two, wait for the hole.
He was in Kansas City too.
Yeah, but that was for overnight. That was, I think he spent 2 nights. It was like he stayed at the Holiday Inn and went home.
Right.
But seriously, Pacheco is not the same running back he was, and he was never that great as a breakaway player. Neither he or Kareem are very good on when they get an ISO on a screen pass. Everybody wonders why Andy doesn't run a screen. Well, I'll tell you why. Neither one of his running backs are elusive. They can't catch. Pacheco has not good hands, and they're not elusive. If you watch the game several times like I have, their corners just tackled him one-on-one every time.
I'm not saying this to be mean, and I joke about it online. I think Isaiah Pacheco has some of the worst running back vision I have ever seen, because coming out of his draft class, in terms of being a size-adjusted athlete, his speed, he had a better score than Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. He has the athletic ability. He just has no vision and no feel for the position. You look at someone like Priest Holmes, who was half the athlete as Isaiah Pacheco in terms of burst and straightaway speed, but the guy had like a supernatural feel for how to play the position. And I just think that is so important at this position. He just doesn't have the feel. And then conversely, Kareem Hunt has all the feel and none of the explosiveness. And I think as receivers, Kareem Hunt has good hands, but the fluidity and the explosiveness and the quickness to like haul in the ball and immediately get upfield, it looks like you're watching it in slow motion. They really missed Jerick McKinnon. And what I would say overall is Veach is kind of the king of overcorrecting. And I think he has overcorrected in a negative way after the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. I think this has been a franchise haunted by that colossal draft bust. And if you look at what they've done since then, it is nothing but castaways that other teams didn't want and 7th round draft picks and UDFAs. And at a time where I used to be a running backs don't matter guy 5 years ago, but the NFL, it's a pendulum and it has swung back to defenses are eliminating explosive plays, and the teams with good running games are opening up the passing games. I mean, look at what David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs do for that Detroit passing attack and Jerry Goff.
Adam, we missed the Williamses. Remember the Williams boys?
I mean, if we're missing the Williams, that is a sad state of affairs. If we're missing,
they could take it to the house.
Daryl and
one of
Damian
these
Williams.
two guys. They could bring. If you remember, Williams broke it for about a 50 or 60-yard run to finish off the 49ers in our first Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think we miss them. And the running backs, it's not their fault. I mean, it is the administration's fault when you think Elijah Mitchell is the answer and you don't even play him. And you go out and get Brashard Smith, and I know we can't pass block. I know we can't. And if you look at Ashton Genty for the Raiders, he almost got Geno Smith killed Monday night. So there is a learning tree for these running backs, but you got to take a chance. You got to have somebody with speed, because the Eagles did not respect our offense at all. They just sat back there and blitzed, sent 4 or 5, played a lot of man, not zone. And our running backs, I would give a D.
I'm giving the room an F. And Brett Veach owns sort of that. I mean, this was one of the most robust running back draft classes we've ever seen in the history of the NFL draft. And he waited till round 7. I'm not sure why he did that. Jeffrey Bossa is not getting on the field. You have different players that are not getting on the field. He could have taken a running back there. I was a big proponent of Bashal Tutin, but there were plenty of guys he could have picked. And then Elijah Mitchell, I was high on him in the offseason, but a lot of that was because my feelings on Kareem Hunt, my feelings on Isaiah Pacheco. He has not materialized. He does not look like himself. And then Brashard Smith, you're dead on. You look at Travion Henderson in New England. He basically got benched this weekend for Antonio Gibson. And the rap on him coming out of college was he was a very good pass protector, but pass protecting in the pros and college are not the same thing. And Brashard Smith has played 1 year of running back previously. So if Travion Henderson isn't ready to pass protect, if Ashton Genty isn't ready to pass protect, this kid is not ready to pass protect, the most valuable asset in the NFL. I know it's frustrating not seeing Brashard Smith out there, and I would like to see some manufactured touches for him. But what's the one thing that's more important than winning every week? It is protecting Patrick Mahomes so he's still around when he's 40 years old.
Adam, I would call the Steelers and see if they would get rid of their running back that they drafted. You know what he did last week, don't you?
I know.
On a kickoff, he didn't cover the ball, and he gave up a touchdown. Mike Tomlin is furious. I wonder if they would trade him for a a fourth or fifth just because he's so stupid. And this guy was a great running back at Iowa. And I know you liked him a lot.
I feel like he's more of a,
you know,
like a zone guy, though. So that would
possibly,
be my.
but we've got to do something right now. It's not fair to the offensive line in total not to get running backs that have any breakaway speed or any kind of cutback. And I'd be calling New Orleans if they lose 2 more games and say, what do we have to do to get the great, your favorite player? You draft him every year in fantasy football.
Alvin Kamara, right?
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, yes.
Yes.
I would crawl
And
forward.
yeah. And the thing about Alvin Kamara, Mahomes' window is closing for this segment of it. There'll be another Mahomes window, but right now, Chris Jones is 31. He's near the end. Kelce is at the end. There's some other players that are getting old. It's concerning. Talk about, what do you want to talk about? Tight end next?
Let's
talk about tight end.
No. We're moving to tackle.
Yeah,
you brought up something good, and I want to continue to hit on this. And I think it's an under-discussed point when we're talking about the offensive line. And that is when you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you draft tackles to pass block. You don't really care about how they run block. And Jawaan Taylor is not a very good run blocker. Most of the tackles the Chiefs have had in the Mahomes era are not very good run blockers because that is not the priority, frankly. And Josh Simmons, the book is still out on him. I would say right now he's not a very good pass blocker. Even Creed Humphrey, a run blocker. I think even Creed Humphrey is a better pass blocker than a run blocker. Yeah, Kingsley Suamataia is a better run blocker than pass blocker, but that doesn't mean that he's ready. He's Larry Allen or something, right?
No, what that means is PFF grade as a pass blocker is like 33, and his run block is like 65. That's what it means, Adam.
Yeah, it's not hot. So offensive tackles, Josh Simmons and Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor, I want him out of there too, but when he's not committing drive-killing penalties, he's not that bad of a pass protector. I think that has to be said. What is your grade for these two?
Simmons, I would give a B+. I think I'd almost give him an A because he saved a touchdown. That was a fantastic play when Kelce and when the rest of them turned around and just watched the guy run for a touchdown. And he hustled, and it was a brutal tackle, actually. I'm surprised that guy didn't get hurt. You have a 300-pound guy running full speed at 18 miles an hour hit you. I'm surprised the guy got up. By the way, I'm blocking on that guy's name. He was a pick from Texas.
Andrew Makuba. He was my defensive flag plant player of the draft.
And he was undersized. People thought, oh, he's a little undersized. He's not as fast, but he can play. And he is you just have to give Philadelphia credit. They pick good players.
Well, part of that too is that, like our GM, their GM has job security, so he can take chances. He can be patient. He can go best player available. What's your grade for Jawaan Taylor?
Give him a C.
I saw
him tackle Mahomes during one of the plays. He was reaching to pull down a defensive lineman, and he got Mahomes instead. And he almost fell on Mahomes, in fact. He's clumsy. He's clumsy out there. I just –
he's a good athlete. He's a good athlete. I agree. We obviously overpaid. Sterling has been in on that from day one. He was a better player than this in Jacksonville because of the penalties, which have been atrocious, especially in week one. There's an argument that those penalties may have cost the Chiefs the game. And then the issue with Jawaan Taylor, I feel like when he loses, it's pretty bad. It's not like Wanya Morris bad or Kingsley Suamataia tackle bad, but it's still pretty fast. Remember Mitchell Schwartz, that guy would always die a slow death. And I just can't give him any higher than a D. I'm going to give Josh Simmons an A coming off of that injury, that knee injury. and missing a lot of his last season in college, you just can't expect a offensive tackle, left tackle to come in the pros and play much better than he has, especially a late round first rounder. I think you have to consider where he's picked. This wasn't a top 10 pick. I mean, maybe if we drafted again next year, he would be a top 10 pick, but I'm going to give him an A. And by the way, you mentioned the 18 miles an hour. That is the fastest an offensive lineman has been tracked in the past 2 or 3 seasons. So great athlete. Let's hit offensive guard while we're on the offensive line. I didn't put all of this group together last year. I would have, but I want to grade the guards alone because of Kingsley Suamataia and now the contract of Trey Smith. You've got a lot to say on Trey Smith. I'll let you start with the grades.
Kingsley, I'd give a C+. He actually is pretty good. I watched him on run blocking, and he definitely improved from game 1 to game 2. Remember, part of the time he was going against one of the meanest guys in the NFL, and he didn't get spit on either, but he hung in there. So I give him C+. I give Trey Smith a B-, and you need him. I would put at the bottom of his report card, engage the D tackle for 4 seconds. He's not doing that, and that's why they're blocking these passes. And if you watch the full 22, it's him every time.
I think some of that just variance with the tipped passes. Some players are just good at that. We've seen that from George Karlaftis. I wonder if the depth of target right now with Patrick Mahomes having to dink and dunk is why we see more of those than we used to. He's throwing over the middle of the field a lot, short targets. I'm going to give Trey Smith a B. I don't think he's quite living up to his contract, but it's early. I'm not panicked about him. I still think it was a good investment. Joe Tooney was 32. He's 26. You picked the young guy. Kingsley Suamataia, I am going to give a C- because the pass protection he has. Zach Bond blitzed last week, and it was like Star Trek, man. He teleported around Kingsley Suamataia. Kingsley didn't even touch him. I'm not even sure he breathed on it. It was bad. So we're talking about fast losses. Nobody loses faster than Kingsley Suamataia when it's bad. And that's a major problem because that's the kind of thing that's going to get Mahomes killed. And he had a similar loss like that in week 1 in Brazil when Patrick Mahomes kind of Houdini'd his way out of it and found Hollywood Brown way down the field. So, yeah, this group can improve. And if they do improve, that's really going to help the tackles. Creed Humphrey, we don't really need to talk about Creed Humphrey. He's kind of like Patrick Mahomes. He is the best player at his position in the league. I'm giving him an A. He's played better, but he's still a rock. Let's
give him an A because he's. No, wait. I want to say something.
All right.
I would give him an A because he's playing next to an underperforming guard and virtually a rookie, and so at his position. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is a good point. He has to kind of make up for Kingsley Suamataia, kind of coach him up and keep one eye on that guy at all times. Let's move on to the tight end position. I have a lot of energy on this, and so much of the frustration is going towards Travis Kelce right now, but Noah Gray, I had huge expectations for Noah Gray coming into the season. Last year, he took a jump from about a 450 yards guy to about a 600 yards guy. And I thought, well, maybe this year he can get up to 700 or 750, and they're going to run a lot of 12 because they don't have wide receivers right now. So how would you grade these two?
I think it's time to play Robert Tonyan. That's what I think. Kelce is a wide receiver masquerading as a tight end. His blocking is horrible. It's patty cake. He looks like he's blocking Taylor Swift out there. I think they Noah Gray needs to be used more, but he is more Kelce-like. I like Tunyon because he's big, physical, experienced, and you need a tight end to block, and that would help our offense a lot, help our running game. But we have these tight ends that see themselves as glorified wide receivers, and Kelce's unexcusable. That drop, that pass, that was awful. If you look on the all 22, some of his blocking, it is really bad. I don't know whether he's become soft in his old age or whether he just wants to be in Hollywood. He isn't the same Kelce that we saw 3 years ago.
Well, he was never a great blocker, but he was always adequate. And now he's not adequate. And I understand you're 35 years old. You've had something like 10 surgeries. You're trying to do some load maintenance and make it to the postseason with fresh legs. But he is a blocking liability. And the drops have gotten worse. And I think the drops have gotten worse because he's slower now, and he's trying to move fast and get upfield fast so he can still pick up yak, but his body just doesn't have what it used to. And right
Adam,
now
they're playing him too many downs. He needs to play no more than about 30% of the downs. And they need to use Tunyon in there. And when it's a running play, there's no point in having Kelce out there. And
it's pretty low. It's pretty low. I mean, I would argue that the point is that you don't want the defense to know it's coming. And if you're pulling him out every time they run, you're basically tipping your hand. It's a tell, right? But I agree with you. And I think the bigger problem is Noah Gray, who sometimes has been a little bit of a plus in the run game with his blocking. He's getting pushed around out there. I don't think he has been an effective blocker. He has been a zero as a pass catcher. And this is the way I would summarize Noah Gray. Everyone, like Travis Kelce's worse. There's no Xavier Worthy. There is no Rashee Rice. So now when the defensive attention isn't like directed towards other players, Noah Gray is not getting those same easy matchups that he's gotten in the past. And it's kind of exposing Noah Gray a little bit. Now, I know this is a small sample size, but I'm going to give this group, I have to give this group an F. Travis Kelce has cost us 2 games. The first game, he ran a sloppy route and hurt Xavier Worthy. He said that himself. And the last game, he lost his concentration and had that game-losing interception. They had the defending champs on the ropes. I think they would have beat them, even shorthanded. Very frustrating. And you just wonder. I know he had a bad taste in his mouth from the Super Bowl, but why did he even come back if it was going to look like this? This is not – I don't want to remember Travis Kelce like Shaquille O'Neal in a Boston Celtics uniform. That's not the way I want to remember Travis Kelce.
This reminds me of Willie Mays when he kept playing center field and he couldn't run and balls went over his head. Willie played till he was 40 and he embarrassed himself. You have to know when to get out of the game. I'm worried about Kelce. Let's cut him back. Let's cut back his snaps to maybe 35%. See if he plays better. Put Tunyon in there. One thing they need to look from the draft besides a running back next year is a tight end. You see what tight ends have done for Indianapolis. Woo, that guy has really changed that offense.
Yeah, Tyler Warren.
And look at Green Bay. That Kraft has been an outstanding. I think he had 2 touchdowns last week.
Well, they've kind of missed the boat on this, though. They gambled on Jared Wiley. I was never a huge Jared Wiley fan. I see what they saw in him, but now with the knee injury, I think he might be a bust, right? So there have been.
Let's go to the wide receiver, Adam. Let's go on to the wide receiver.
There have been several good classes of tight ends. And the hope is that drafts are now deeper than they used to be with more passing in college. Wide receiver position, I'll just let you take the floor here because you seem to be chomping.
I'll tell you what, first of all, I would go to Iowa. They produce a lot of good tight ends. And there's a kid down here at Missouri named Brett Norfleet. He's about 6'7", 6'8", and about 265. He reminds me a lot of Chase Kaufman. He's a good blocker. He can jump over running defensive backs. He scored 2 touchdowns last week. I think he's had 6 or 7 for the year. He's a junior. He may come out
What
early.
are we talking about
but,
now?
Tight end from Missouri. I'm just telling you, there's tight ends that are out there, my friend.
Okay. I told you to take the floor on wide receiver. You seem
Wide
to be...
receivers. Okay. You won't like this. I know you won't. But I think we need to play Remigio more. I think he is. I think he could be a really good wide receiver, a spot receiver. I think he would be very good. I want to play him more. I'd like to see Brownlee play more. Hollywood Brown, we need to change his name. It should be Hospital Brown. He gets hurt every play. He makes Xavier Worthy look durable. I mean,
Xavier Worthy
it's really
for the
sad.
record, Xavier Worthy has been pretty durable during his playing career in high school, at Texas, and now here for the Chiefs. This is the first real injury he's had. I hear what you're saying about Hollywood Brown. I have made that point out. He was hurt coming into the league. He's been constantly infirmed, is how I would describe him. But I think you've got a little bit of guy on the bench syndrome. Robert Tonyan and Brownlee and Remigio, they might look good against second and third units in the preseason, but I can assure you they are not better than the guys on the field. If Robert Tonyan was so good, why did nobody want him for the last 2 years or so? You know what I mean?
Well, he got hurt a couple years ago, and he didn't do his rehab. And some people coming off an injury are slow. They really are.
I don't know how to grade this group because you have a 3 that has to be a 1 and a 4 that has to be a 2. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give them a C just because they have been good, but they've been put in a tough spot. And I think Tyquan Thornton is really the reason they're getting a C, because we may have found a younger, better version of Justin Watson, which I think is a valuable player. And I think he's more valuable when you have Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice back.
You got to give Juju credit. Here's a guy with terrible knees, really was expected to retire, but he does something better than any other player on that team. He runs the route to the exact point where Pat expects him, and he catches the damn ball, which is something that some of the other guys can't do. And that's why he's on the team. I don't know what his 40 time is, but it's not going to be great.
Xavier Worthy's 40 time backwards might be faster than Juju Smith-Schuster's 40 time at this point. I will give him credit. He has an innate feel for how to get open, playing zone coverages, and how to find soft spots. But he just doesn't. He's been kind of like, his athleticism has been draining steadily year by year, and now he's just to the point where he's borderline unplayable. And I was thrilled to see Jalen Royals off the injury report practicing, because if Andy Reid is willing to take the training wheels off a rookie early, they could really use his burst. We've been going a little long on the offense, Dad, so we're going to move on.
One other thing I want to say, besides ability, another important thing is availability. And Hollywood Brown is never available. And Rashee Rice, you look at it, he got hurt last year. He's suspended. He's going to be in a contract year next year. I would not give him a big bunch of money because he's got character issues, just like my friend Tyreek.
Let's see how it goes. I'm kind of in the camp of don't sign any of these wide receivers and just draft one in the first 3 rounds every single season in perpetuity.
How about this, Adam? If we get tired of some of these players, let them play out their option and go out and get some free agents. Maybe we need more turnover. Maybe we've got players that aren't hungry anymore.
Free agency is expensive, and not a lot of these guys hit free agency. The best free agent receiver on the market this year was Josh Palmer. That is a fact. That was the best receiver on the market this year. So it's not really viable. Let's move on to defense. Producer Richard is telling us we are slower than Juju Smith-Schuster's 40 time. So we have to speed it up here. Let's just, to speed things up, let's just grade the entire defensive line together. Edge and defensive tackle. I am going to give them a C- because they are just not bringing the pressure. And I may not be the president of the Chris Jones fan club, but I am at least a chair. And I have to say, I do not think he's been living up to his contract. His pass rush win rate is usually around 18%. This year it's at 10%, and he's getting double teamed less. So
wait a minute. My wife is president of the Chris Jones, and she says Chris is doing the job. So I got out the old 22 last night, and I looked, and Chris is double teamed 66% of the time. When you're playing next to Derek Nottie, you're going to get double teamed. You might get triple teamed.
His double team rate is it is down from past seasons. That's a fact.
Derek Nottie is awful.
No,
when the Jets want to get rid of somebody. No, he's terrible.
It's a great point. I wish Mike Liddell was still here.
I do like Omar Norman a lot for one reason. I love the body slam of Jalen Hurts.
All right, but my point
to me, that was the highlight of the game. I give him a C minus.
But it also came 5 or 6 seconds after the snap, so that's like a hustle sack, not Omar Norman lot flashing.
It's a George Kalafdis. It's a George Kalafdis sack.
Now I really like.
Let's go to the linebacker.
Hold on, jumping the bit here. I really like Ashton Gelati. That's the last name we have to name here. Also. Charles Amini, who's underperforming, and Mike Dana got hurt last week. So this group cannot get home with 4. The Chiefs are blitzing, I think, at the 3rd highest rate in the league, and their pressure rate is still not very good. So this is going to be a problem if the defensive line doesn't resolve itself. I know everyone's really focused on the running back room and the offense and the receivers, but it doesn't matter how good the offense is. If this defensive line and this defense can't get pressure, even blitzing, and the defensive line is just not winning at all, like it has been reliant on Chris Jones being a superhero. And right now he doesn't look like one. Small sample size.
In all fairness, Philadelphia has the best offensive line in pro football. And if you look at, and even though they lost their best tackle, the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh they have a great offensive line coach, and everywhere he's been, 49ers, San Diego State, Michigan, now at Los Angeles, the guy can coach offensive line, and their offensive line looks pretty good.
I have to say, early on, I was a non-believer coming into the season because I just thought the loss of left tackle Rashawn Slater would be catastrophic, but so far, they're making a believer out of me. Let's move on to linebackers. I don't really have much of a problem with this group. I think Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, and Leo Chanel have been fine. I'm going to give them a B. I don't think this defense has been good enough for anybody to get an A, but I'm going to give them a B.
I give them a B+ or A-. I give Drew Tranquill credit for calling out Kelce. I think someone needed to.
Chris Jones, you mean?
No. Tranquill called out Kelce during the Charger game. You don't remember that?
He was arguing with Chris Jones.
Well, Kelce. He argued with him too, but he argued with Kelce on the sideline. The D-backs, they made so much improvement from game 1 to game 2. I thought McDuffie, other than the long pass to Skinny Backman, which was right in front of me, you forget Skinny Batman won the Heisman. He doesn't look like a superior athlete.
You're talking about Devonta Smith. I don't think most Chiefs fans know who Skinny Batman is, but he's talking about Devonta Smith.
In Philly, they call him Skinny Batman. And your favorite Eagle is number 11.
Yeah, it is. It's very frustrating to watch. Sterling and I really got into it last week about Jalen Hurts. And if you look at Jalen Hurts right now, he's holding on to the ball longer than any quarterback in the league, and he has the lowest average depth of target. I mean, this is like 1946 shit, this offense. It is putrid. He's got, I mean, imagine what Patrick Mahomes would do if he had those left tackles and Saquon Barkley and AJ freaking Brown and Devonta Smith.
Adam, this is their 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. You
Yeah,
got to
I-
give them
I-
credit.
I
And they've
understand.
lost some good ones.
No.
Shane
This
Silent-
isn't the third one. This is the fourth. This is the fourth.
You're right. It's the fourth, but they've lost some good ones.
Yeah.
Two of them are head coaches. Whether you like Nick or not, he builds a pretty good staff.
It's been hit or miss. I think Fangio and Kellen Moore were really good. This new offensive coordinator, I'm blanking on his name, wasn't really super impressed with him. I think he's kind of leaning into some of Jalen Hurts' worst tendencies, and he's forgetting that he has an awesome fleet of receivers. Even Jahan Dotson's a good third receiver. Okay, I want us to separate cornerback from safety because I'm not worried about the corners, right? Even Noel Williams had some moments last week. I thought Jalen Watson was incredible last week. McDuffie, he's short. What's he going to do? I mean, that was an arm punt by Jalen Hurts, and he just
I thought Brian Cook played better at him.
He did.
I thought
So,
Brian Cook.
so grade the safeties alone and grade the corners alone.
Okay, McDuffie gets a A-. Watson gets an A-. Brian Cook gets a B+. Shamari Connor, C-.
What about Jaden Hicks?
Oh, Jaden Hicks, I give him a B. And I give a Fulton, he is the defense version of Hollywood Brown. You could see, you could see
Can't stay on
why
the field. He can't stay on the field.
he can't. Like I said, he may have ability, but what is also important is availability.
Yeah. This has plagued him throughout his professional career. I'm going to grade these guys a little bit differently. Trent McDuffie is an all-pro. He wants to be paid like Sauce Gardner and those guys. He's got to be better than he was on that play against Devonta Smith. That was one of the deciding plays in the game. I'm going to give him a B-. I'm going to give Jalen Watson an A. He was just okay in Brazil, but I mean, his game against the Eagles was phenomenal. I thought he might have been the best player in the defense. Fulton, no Williams, they're fine, B-, something like that. The safeties, it's a mixed bag because in Brazil, that group was an F. Brian Cook might have been a D, but Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor were getting picked on repeatedly, just over and over and over again. I give them an F- for what they did in Brazil. But I think it was let me finish here. It was encouraging here to see Dave Merritt, defensive backs coach, take this group and have such a quick flip-flop where they went from playing terrible to I thought Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks were pretty darn good out there last Sunday. Go ahead.
Our best coaching is on the defense. Spags is unbelievable. He's one of the top defensive coordinators, maybe in the league, and maybe one of the first in the Hall of Fame. Dave Merritt, we got to keep him. He took a very susceptible D-back against the Chargers and turned him in. And here's the thing that I want to say about the defense compared to the offense. The defense is very good at tackling, very good at fundamentals. The offense, no, they're not good at fundamentals. They block like pussies. And it's led by Kelce. I'm sorry. I'm going to be on Kelce till he improves. I'm on him so much. I bet you he goes out and has a stellar game on Sunday night. This is what always happens to me. And when I've done sports talk, when you get on a player, either they really go in the tank or they get their act together. And I'm hoping Kelce reverts back to the old Kelce. Maybe Taylor.
I've got to tell the audience before we get out of here. I've got to tell the audience the story about my father. Royals fans will appreciate this. I don't know what year it was, but Steve Balboni was playing for the Chiefs. He was kind of a broad, rotund, heavy-set player, and he was not having a good run. And I just remember my dad yelling, "Hey, pizza boy," from the upper deck.
He struck out 4 times in the game.
Okay.
In the 9th inning, he came in. The Royals were behind by 2 runs. They had 2 men on base. And I yelled, "Hey, pizza boy, you going to make it 5 for 5? He had a home run over the fountains.
I think it hit the street. It was incredible. It was incredible. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember the story as well as you because I was very young, obviously. But yeah, I agree with you on Steve Spagnuolo. I thought he had a bad coaching plan for Brazil. Now, some of it let's just chalk it up to Brazil. I don't know, week 1, whatever, but he was dialing up the blitzes at the right moments against the Eagles. I thought he had a great game plan. I am way more confident in the defensive coaching staff right now than the offensive coaching staff. No question. All right, guys.
If I were
Thanks.
the Chiefs need to go out and get a running back right now. Not tomorrow, not till after they lose to the Giants. By the way, I don't know if you all know this fact. We have never beaten the New York Giants in New York City.
Well, that's going to change.
Let's break that record Sunday night. I know you all think that I'm not a homer. I'm not. I'm very objective. I do my work. But there's nobody wants the Chiefs to win any more than I do. I've been a fan since I was born. But they've got to get their act together offensively.
They will. I'm not hitting the panic button. I think we've reached the remember when Bill Belichick lost in Kansas City very badly in the middle of the Patriots dynasty on Monday Night Football, and he got asked about it by the press, and he just kept saying, on to Cincinnati. We have reached that point of the Chiefs dynasty. I think rumors of our demise have been greatly exaggerated. They're going to figure it out. It might not be their best year, but go ahead. I can see you chomping at the bit. We got to get out of here.
So I got to say one last thing. What did Bill Belichick say when he got beat by TCU?
I don't know. It's a different situation.
Where's my 24-year-old?
He doesn't
Good night, everybody.
He doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. All right. Thanks to my dad for filling in for Patrick Allen, a true OG. Thanks to the chat. You guys always bring it. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. Subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a show or short. If you're an audio listener, either on Spotify or Apple, subscribe over there as well. But please consider leaving us a 5-star review. That really, really helps us reach more Chiefs fans. Lastly, check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. Matt Connor and the gang do a phenomenal job over there. So please do that as well. Join us live next Friday at 3. Actually, it's Thursday. I'm reading the wrong script. Join us live next Thursday at 4 p.m. Central here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.